Let me now give you an overview of the tools you'll need to make a website with HTML. Most likely you already have everything needed. First, you'll need a browser. A browser is a program that retrieves the HTML code on a web page of interest, interprets the code, and then presents it in a visual, accessible format. All browsers pretty much work the same, so it's not critical which browser you use to create your pages. However, not all browsers display your web pages exactly the same, so most web designers test their pages on the more popular browsers. This way, they can make sure the HTML they write displays correctly for the majority of potential web visitors. The most common browser at the time of this recording was Microsoft's Internet Explorer, followed by Mozilla Firefox. Since most of the people who will look at your website will use these two, I recommend using both, and perhaps also Google Chrome, which at the time of this recording had a quite small but growing user base. If you're Mac-based, you will also want to use Safari, but you should be testing your pages on a PC running Internet Explorer. All these browsers are free, so before starting to write your first HTML page, I recommend downloading all of the browsers mentioned here at their respective websites. Apple to download Safari, Microsoft to download Internet Explorer, Mozilla to download Firefox, and Google to download Chrome. This tutorial will teach you how to create web pages by writing your own HTML code from scratch, so you will not need any special what you see is what you get HTML editors such as Dreamweaver, FrontPage, or even Microsoft Word can create HTML documents for you. Instead, you can use any simple text editor to create your HTML code. If you're using Windows, you can use Notepad, which is usually found in the Start menu under Programs under Accessories. On the Mac, you can use TextEdit. On Linux, you can use Pico. Now, you can use one of the so-called WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get editors, to build your web pages. Many, such as Adobe Dreamweaver, which I have open here, will write perfectly good HTML code for you, and many web designers do use them, but by learning how to write HTML code by yourself will give you much more control over how your web pages look, give you the skills to fix problems created by these type of HTML editors, and also open up techniques to make your web pages look better than those created with HTML editors alone. Perhaps one of the downsides of coding your pages by hand is that this is pretty inefficient, especially when creating more complex pages containing media and interactive elements, or when coding large websites. It takes a lot longer to code these kinds of pages by hand using a text editor like Notepad. Most professional web designers use both an HTML editor like Dreamweaver and also will code sections or even entire pages by hand when necessary, or when they need to fix mistakes introduced by Dreamweaver or add capability not possible with an HTML editor like Dreamweaver. I will often use Dreamweaver to code my websites, but will also very frequently code in straight HTML using the code view here in Dreamweaver, which lets me add or edit the HTML code directly. However, to code in this way will still require a thorough knowledge of HTML, which is the goal of this tutorial. Most web designers, even those who do use HTML editors to create their websites, will tell you that you need to have a thorough knowledge of HTML to produce the modern websites in demand today. So to accomplish this, you're only going to need a simple text editor like Notepad or TextEdit. Notepad is a very basic text editing program. It's excellent for coding HTML because it doesn't interfere with what you're typing. It also gives you complete control of your HTML. One problem with many of the programs that claim to create websites for you is that they do not create clean HTML code. They often have a lot of standard functions that create non-standard HTML pages that may not look the same on all browsers, or that are hard to fix when they break, or that add unneeded complexity to your HTML code. Thus, this type of program often cannot create a website exactly as you want it, or even more annoyingly, they make changes to your handwritten code. Notepad and other simple text editors create clean code that gives you more control, which is really the main point here in the bottom line. So in conclusion, a browser and Notepad or a similar simple text editor are all that you'll need to get through this tutorial and to start coding your own web pages. However, to publish your pages to the web so that the entire world can see your work will require some extra services and some more planning. So let's move on to the next movie and review what you'll need to share your pages with the world.